Yes, I have another fabulous channel of genius to introduce you to today. Ragan Thomson. She is a shining light. She's a spiritual healer, a teacher, an impact leader, and she's dedicated to global healing and conscious transformation. Through her teachings and her events and her one on one work, she guides us to awaken to our true essence. And she also leads the Thomson Global Philanthropy Fund and impact investing initiatives, which help to advance climate resilience, women's empowerment, and ethical innovation worldwide. Welcome, Ragan. It's
Thank you. Thank you.
it's
Thank
fun
you.
to
Thank you.
introduce you because I feel like we could introduce you as a bajillion different things because you've done a bajillion different things and you still weave together so many different pieces and parts, even while you're teaching about oneness. So, welcome, Renaissance woman. I'm so glad you're here.
That's very kind. Thank you. I'm so happy to be with you all. It is absolutely an honor to serve and be here with you all. Yes, thank you. Yeah. Yeah, that is a few
So, Reagan,
titles.
I
I
know that,
probably have a few more to add.
right? I'm curious about so much of you, so much in all of it. So I'm wondering, now you're a teacher, a global meditation teacher, healer, an initiator of people into oneness, but probably I'm imagining you weren't always so. Like, tell us a little bit about maybe what life was like before you stepped into this spiritual role. Where do you come from?
Yeah, thank you for asking. That's a long story. I'll try to be brief. Born into this world like the many, feeling very awake, very joyous, very
Mm.
ready to be here. My mother said that when I was born, I smiled. She said, as a newborn, everybody was like, she's smiling. That's not usually a normal thing that we see. And she's had the
Oh,
many moments. My mother has shared that with me over the years. And yeah, I did. I came in super awake, super bright, super ready to serve, super excited, just like jump on a table and be like, everybody, let's dance, like especially when people were having like a really hard day in my family. So, but
uh-huh.
just like everybody too, maybe some, not everyone. I was born into an environment where I definitely felt a little bit like an alien. And I probably was. And I absorbed that environment. I didn't know how to manage my higher abilities at that time, the capabilities that I came in with. So I got pretty heavy for a while. And in a lot of ways, I probably just fell asleep. So that journey of waking up, staying awake, falling asleep, waking up again, has been a powerful healing experience that I got to go through. Feeling of being completely connected to spirit, connected to all that is, and then feeling separate, getting to feel separate. And yeah, deeply painful chapter and various mini chapters in this life. I think that's something that has been a soul calling for my soul to really experience life and the various dimensions of life. As I was waking up, I felt very inspired to get into, I went from like a very serious competitive tennis career to being like, that's not who I only am. And so then I was starting when I was 3, touring around the United States. And then I realized I'm an artist, I'm a singer, I'm a healer, I'm a teacher. I have all these other things to explore. So maybe in my early 20s, I started to work with my first kind of healing experience. And very quickly, I began to wake up again and find a very creative part of myself. So I went into a lot of spiritual based acting, comedy, improv, strangely spiritual. How do you find that? We were like, how are your teachers
Totally.
spiritual teachers? So then doing a lot of all kinds of stuff, right? So just these different ways of expressing myself and healing in different ways, a lot through music and a lot through acting initially. So strangely, it was just like getting to express all that energy and feeling and emotion. And there was a ton to work with. I had already absorbed a whole lot from my environment as I was more of a high level intuitive and empath. So just the releasing of all that, just the letting go of all that, and to really start feeling myself come back online very quickly after I worked with my first really beautiful, soulfully aligned, very kind, loving, feminine teacher, spiritual teacher. As I did that work, I began to wake up rapidly, and she very quickly said, you're not just here to just heal yourself. You're here to be a teacher of teachers, a healer of healers. That's what you're here for. So very quickly, my first clients, everyone I worked with, was a healer. I was like, they all lined up at my door. I'm like, well, I guess I'm here to help with the healers. And then that was my first opening into healing work. And I could assist them through just, I think just the old timeline of many lives here of just working on a higher level of bringing forth just a divine connection to spirit through more of a maternal divine connection to the divine mother, to the earth, where they can really feel the pure love that comes through when I'm a channel. And so that there's more of a rapid healing approach in that, right? And without getting into detail, something that was coming online. And then after that, it did all kinds of folks, right? Just, not just healers, children and youth, and lots of women's work. I've done tons of women's work. I was a goddess facilitator for many years, retreat after retreat after retreat, like just continually working with women in all shapes and forms, and a lot of women's empowerment work as well. So I actually kind of dove into the feminist side and the conscious feminine again, always checking both sides of the coin of all kind of dimensions of the human process, really. And then I went on to saying, hey, it's time to get married and have lots of children. I have 5 children currently. I have 9 turtles. I have 4 geckos. I've got 4 dogs. I mean, I live in California. I live on a few acres, and I feel like my home is my crucible for the most great learning there could ever be. I hold a container internally with this container that I've created, but it has taught my greatest teachers, I would say, all these creatures. And then I take that into the world. So, yeah, I worked a lot locally, but I've been doing a ton of global work in the last many years. And so that's a longer story too.
We talk a lot about earned wisdom, like the crucibles we've been through, that life has taken us through those moments of separation, feeling the way you
Mhm.
describe it, or that heady period that you describe, that you know that your soul gave you that challenge and then you live through it. And then I'm imagining that some of that stuff is giving you the compassion to hold women and children and other people through it. And I'm curious, when you say that you got heady, like, was that with school or intellectual pursuits, or what was it that got heady in you? Because I experience you as a very intelligent person, and I imagine you're
Yeah.
probably, spend a lot of time in education as well. I'm just curious about that.
Oh, thank you for that. Yeah. You're pretty intuitive, Melissa. That is absolutely true. I spent my life often as a student. At some point I literally said to Spirit, I'm like, am I complete with being a student? Can I now go bring this into the world? So, yeah, I mean, everything from being a student to being a teacher in various facets of life, right? Teaching all different types of things, not just, spirituality and healing. Yeah, I went on to obviously just the traditional schooling, and then I went on to get, my university studies, and went on to my master's, and then I went on to doing just other classes and education. In university, I studied a few different things, but I definitely studied religious studies. I wanted to learn about all the different religions,
Mm.
right? Taoism, Buddhism, so I was raised Catholic. And so then when I did not get confirmed, I shocked the whole family, of course. And then they were like, what are you doing?
Oh,
So my mission was
uh,
to go out into the world and really study what was out there. And I realize now why, because clearly Spirit was really wanting me to not only find my own personal relationship with God, with Spirit, with creation, what also was to come was that I would be helping in that arena. So I do work in currently spiritual sanctuaries and churches as much as I can to bring a more clear, just precise message from spirit that's coming through that is hopefully ending the division between religions. So it tends to be one of the areas that I know needs unification. And so I think that whole study period a lot of times was just really just not only knowledge, but now hopefully has turned into wisdom of just having the experience of being in those environments. And I think education is another place, just is ready for an update itself, right? So all systems need an update globally. So there's just different areas you can see due to that student life that I was kind of headed towards by guidance to kind of go, hey, learn about this, learn about, and be ready to study, be ready to be disciplined, to keep learning, and keep opening yourself up to like whatever we'd like to teach you, not that you somehow have completed that study. And so I think just, yeah, kind of landing in more global systems updating on the planet as a calling of my soul to be here to organize the global picture a little bit more into consciousness. So I think a lot of that schooling was to prepare for that. And there's been more, seems like classes and courses ever since then. And I just got out of an organization I was working within that I would say the whole 6 years that I just segued out of was about a study of the world at large the whole
Wow.
time.
Yeah.
Education. Yeah.
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 Yeah. It sounds like you have a true universalist, approach and experience of this unification of spirit, of approach to spirituality and religion. And when you say, like, I teach oneness, it sounds to me like you've also been really practicing oneness, like learning about all the different approaches and spiritual traditions. And then I imagine also through your philanthropy, and I would love to hear more about the fund and about the philanthropy you're doing
Yeah.
that honors that comes from that place. I imagine it can be so overwhelming to have the responsibility of resource that flows through you in the directions that you choose. And how do you choose? How do you
Mm,
choose?
yeah. Well, that's a wonderful question. First off, I mean, at this point, thank God, I feel like I can listen and be guided, right? Just rather than me
Yes.
have some sort of part of myself attempting to do something as to be to be of service or to be, doing a good job or something like that. And it took time to clear that out. I had to take some deep
Mm.
inner work in myself to get to the point where I can really listen and have spirit say, hey, this is a great place to head. This is something we need your assistance with. Um, so, I know the difference now between just getting myself busy with different endeavors and contributing money to within the fund to um, wherever versus going, oh no, this is a very specific ask by spirit. This is going to help create
Oh,
a bit of a web of connection. This will open this door, and this could open this door, and so I do feel it's more of it's a whole new walk really in the last just short while,
mm,
really. I mean, I was contributing a lot to a specific organization for a while and helping them build. And then before there was another organization I was helping them to build. And I think more kind of a foundational builder as a seed funder. A lot of times that's what my role is to get an organization off the ground and then they can get going. And then kind of
yeah.
sit there and help kind of hold the energy in the space. And a lot of times I think I'm ready to stay. And Spirit's like, oh no, you're not supposed to stay. I was like, but this is so
Wow.
nice. It's so nourishing. It's like, I
Uh,
love these like family
yeah.
members. But then, the relationships continue. And then somehow it's all about, collaboration. So if there is a way to describe what I'm hearing as the way forward for our planet and how I choose, it's to find truly collaborative organizations and people that are willing to put their ego aside and start and that are aware of their soul enough that they're like, oh no, I'm just here to do my part and my expression of which I bring is unique, and so is it within the realm of all the folks here, and that we can all just work together and just bring ourselves to the table. And so now it's really like I was trying to think of like the funny expression. Like now I have like a sniffer, like a really strong
Yeah.
sniffer, a gauge for knowing like when I'm with someone, I can feel and see their soul process pretty clearly that
Mm.
just based on many years of learning about collaboration in the last organization I was a part of, I mean, really, that's all we were learning about, and the challenges we face
Mm.
within that arena. Like for people, even conscious. I mean, these are very conscious beings that were struggling with learning how to collaborate. So I just saw the pitfalls. I saw the challenges. I saw the unresolved dimensional process within people's systems where they were having a tough
Mm.
time, even if they were supposedly here to serve. And so I think that now when I think of who am I going to fund, who is it that I'm being called for, I feel like I know kind of like there's it's just like an instantaneous like, oh no, this person's willing. They're willing to like, it's like a
Uh-huh.
feeling in their intuitively, really. I mean, and I can connect to so great, some wonderful people quickly and be like, ah, yeah, these
Yeah.
folks, and this is the group.
Mm.
And another piece of it would be guided towards folks who understand something around group consciousness. I
Mm-hmm.
think that the way forward is group consciousness rather than individual me and my story and what I'm doing. I think it's the end of
Mm-hmm.
that and into the group. So I got to
Yeah.
experience group consciousness the last years, and it was amazing. I mean, it was so nourishing.
Wow.
Often I'm kind of a leader in a room, and so that way I was with a group of
Mm.
leaders,
Yeah.
and we were all just getting to work together equally. Yeah,
That's beautiful.
yeah, it was very
That's
cool.
beautiful. And I'm really hearing and aligning with this feeling of, oh yeah, collaboration and everyone playing their part. This is the way forward. This is the only way forward. Like this much more collaborative. And I myself, I've always been, as you say, like the leader in the room. I end up being the leader in the room. And yet this calling to be collaborative and to sort of sit back in my seat and see where my place is, it can be challenging. And in these times where there's so much contention and argument and fake news, there's so much sort of rough feeling that separates people in the field. It feels both more difficult and more important to
Hmm.
foster and invest in these places that fuel that collapse. You're really inspiring me talking about this. I'm like, oh my God, thank you, Ragan. Like this is, and it's easy to talk about, and it's not always easy to do it. So I'm hearing that when you're choosing for your fund how to invest, where to invest your time, energy, and the money with the fund, that you're feeling into sort of what spirit's calling you to do, which is one thing that
Hmm.
you mentioned. It
Hmm.
takes a while to like be able to hear that voice and follow. I can relate with that. And then, and so
Yeah.
intuitively, what does spirit want? And then who are the beings who are actually ready to step
Hmm.
into this collaborative collective consciousness approach to getting stuff done, right?
Hmm. Yep.
And then
Yep.
also I hear you saying like those individuals, do they understand group consciousness? So I'm hearing you like using
Hmm.
your intuition to follow spirit, your gut
Hmm.
feeling to vet people and know, okay, they say they want it, the mission of the company or the mission of the organization says they want it, but can they do it? And then is it aligned? Like, is it aligned with that intention? And that
Yeah.
feels like a
Mm.
very clear rudder for your fund. And I love that because I work with a lot of philanthropists and as an advisor, a guide, a healer like you.
Hmm.
And there's often this question of like, how do I know what's right to invest the resource I'm given to steward now? And I love that you just painted us a
Mhm.
really clear picture of how you do that.
Yeah, you as you shared all those different points, yeah, it's spot on what you said. And it's taken time to get here. I mean, it's not without
I bet.
me going internal and be like, wow, I'm having a challenge learning how to collaborate. I thought I was excellent in collaboration, and suddenly some part of myself is needing to be integrated. That's, am I doing this the right
Of
way?
course.
Should I be doing more? Can I, is my voice being heard in this space? Like, all kinds of stuff needed to be purified before I could be able to be where I'm at. So it feels like
Yeah.
it's been a big trajectory of growth to get here. So yeah, I'm just fascinated. I'm just kind of in a curiosity of working specifically this way. And it feels like there was an up leveling recently in my system within it. Again, without getting into greater detail around the organization, that whole thing seemed like it was just a big crucible for purifying this stuff out. And so now, I'm heading to CGI next week, which is in New York, which is the Clinton Global Initiative. I'm not extremely into all that, but those are where some of the major endeavors of the world come together into one space for a couple days for a
Hmm.
conference. And
Hmm.
I've gone to it before. I was nominated last year, and yeah, there's folks there that are willing to collaborate. And they're the ones who are doing major
Yeah.
world initiatives that are collaborating somewhat. I mean, I was in a room last year with 7 different major organizations doing, bringing in $20-50 million a year for their organization, and they didn't know each other, and they're all working with water restoration. I was like, wait a
Oh,
minute,
okay.
you're all in one room, you don't know each other.
Yeah.
Interesting. How much
Yeah.
more of
And you're all
impact?
actually working towards the same
Same
goals, but you're
thing.
not working
Yeah.
together.
And you're not
Yeah.
working together.
And
And
$50
they
million
don't,
dollars is a lot of money, but
what if
when
you
you work
had,
together, it's so much more.
I know. And what about your
Hmm.
ideas that you have in this organization that we don't have? And that could help escalate us to being far more of service. And you've got this great
Yeah.
technology that we don't have, and maybe we could all there's so much there. I mean, when we learn to collaborate on this planet and we get
Yeah.
out of our separate silos, we're going to have a very different
Mm.
world process going on. And we're going to have a very unified process, because the truth is, it boils down, as you know, like any message we receive from spirit, it is not our message. It is the message. It is the
Mm.
message that people are like, I'm hearing this message about collaboration. I'm like, welcome to the club, because it is the message, right? I'm like,
Yeah.
I mean, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? It's like, oh, I think I've got the message. It's like,
Yeah.
no, yeah, we are one, right? So we all are getting the message. If you are listening and you are intuitive and you're dropped in, and and lots of people can be, and they are, and more of that's happening. It is the message. It is all about conscious collaboration right now. It is all about oneness and unification. What my understanding is that in order for us to create oneness on our planet, it requires us to collaborate.
Mhm.
It requires
Yeah.
us to start realizing that we are not separate from each other. So call it what you
Mm.
will. You can call it collaborate, you can call it togetherness, you could call it, I don't know, hanging out together in a space of soul to soul interaction, whatever you'd like to call it. The point is, it is literally required that humanity learns to get out of our separate silos and start collaborating. And that means, yes, you've got to leave your ego out the door a bit, enough. And whatever child parts have not resolved, or whatever you're working through, just enough that you're willing to be in a room with people and say, I don't know the answer. Actually, I'm listening, and I'm being told through this message that's coming through that this is my part I can play, and this is your part. And that's so
Wow.
cool. And no one's part is better than another. We are all equal here. We're in this great awakening on our planet. We're in, truly, I mean, as you know, the end of the Kali Yuga was in March. I mean, just the end of March, just the dark ages just ended. So we have an incredible
Wow.
opportunity to just be here, and this light that's coming in, and the support, and the angelic realm, and the wonderful guides, and just there's so much support. So I think now when we speak about this, it's heard in a different way. there's more receptivity. And there's people that when we say this message, even a few years ago, they would look to you like, what are you talking about? I don't, just now, like just in the last months, really, I feel there's been a major shift. And we have such an opportunity to actually collaborate with each other and to leave and to heal rapidly in a very different way, just such a different time period for healing. And I'm noticing that in my own work with myself internally and with others. There's just a lot of light, a lot of light coming in. It's very cool. Yeah.
Gorgeous.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Reagan. And you're listening to this, you're watching this, you're going to want more. So go check out Reagan. She's offering some free meditations for us, and the link will be in the show notes. You can go to raganthompson.com/free meditations and learn more about what Reagan has going on, receive more of her transmission and her message. Reagan, thank you for all you're doing, and thank you for being here with us today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you. I'm so happy I got to spend some time with you, Mellissa. I love you, and I love being here with you, and look forward to more. Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. Thank you so much.